tummy tucks, how to get rid of that hanging belly. Some of you have been hiding it for a long, long time. You know, it's really interesting when I have patients and that they say that their friends and family are like, you don't need it, you're too skinny. But then when they take off their shirts and you see them naked, it's like, damn, they hide that really, really well. It's amazing how women do this. They've become so good at the art of illusion, of hiding things, of covering up things, of avoiding different perspectives and views, uh, avoiding pictures. Um, you know, some of us have gotten really good at that. And I'm just here to tell you that you don't have to hide anymore. You don't have to feel like you have to be someone different. When you start doing things that change yourself to something that you would feel comfortable and confident with, the confidence comes. And you know, it's just about taking action. If you want to achieve some of these things, it's this is a new age. We don't have to succumb to the way it is. If you want to change things, you can change things, and they can happen fairly quickly. See, liposuction is a permanent removal of fat. Even though you have this hanging belly that's hanging over your pants, it's folding over, you have that fupa, that fullness in the pubic area, liposuction can remove that stuff. It can make your belly flat. It can make that hanging skin retract back, go away, and you don't have to get it cut away. Now, look, tummy tuck is an option. It's a choice. You can choose to get the tummy tuck and get a big, large incision, or you can choose to get uh, liposuction without the tummy tuck. And liposuction without the tummy tuck, you can see, even though people have loose thin skin, stretch marks, even though they have these issues, they can still get good results with liposuction. Taylor says, can you get lipo with a heart condition? Clearly that's, you know, there's lots of different heart conditions, so I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but it is definitely possible. Usually there's some type of protocol for whatever condition you have, whether it's a heart condition, kidney condition, you know, whatever the case is, there's usually some type of protocol for people in your position to get procedures or surgeries or whatever the case. So we just follow the protocol and we consult with whoever your treating physician is to, um, you know, get you the safest possible results. Okay, Jay Lyrics says, how about men's procedures? Of course we do men's procedures. You know, there's no difference between the fat. The fat doesn't care whether you're male or female. Fat is fat. Doesn't matter what sexual orientation you are. Like, fat is fat. It doesn't matter. Men have fat when we take it out. Their skin does the same thing. Women, when we take the fat out, skin does the same thing. The results are different per individual because each individual has a little bit different variations of what their potential is, and that's going to be based off of, you know, your whole accumulation for the years before you came to me. And so that might be, you have stretch marks from gaining and losing weight. You maybe have loose skin because of a lack of collagen. Maybe, you know, you have age related issues. Maybe you have, you know, thinner skin, stretch marks. Maybe you've been overweight for a long period of time and gravity's been pulling down on it. So all these things are individually based. However, I've seen some incredible things happen, and you can't just look at somebody and say they're, you know, and write them off. We've seen miracles happen. It's unbelievable how well the skin tightens up regardless of the situations that the individuals have. Now, just because you have loose skin, just because you have stretch marks, it doesn't mean you can't get good results. It just means we're not really sure. I just do what I do, and amazing things happen, and things that blow me away. And I promise, like, it seems miraculous because I don't know, you know, it's crazy to see how well we take out a substantial amount of fat and the skin retracts back. It's crazy. Like, this lady had this kind of like duckbill look where the belly was retracted in where she wore her pants, and she caused this indentation, but yet we can remove the fat in a way that it goes away. We can undo the problem. Undo. I mean, it's like having a reset button, right? You can just reset, like start over. And it's a choice. At some point, you have to make a choice in your life that you want to do something different. Otherwise, you stay the same. And that's a choice too. You know, not improving is a choice. Improving is a choice. Neither one of them is easy. You know, when you try to stay the same and not do anything, first of all, you'll never stay the same. Time goes on regardless. Things deteriorate regardless. You don't really get a choice. We don't get a choice at this. But what we do get the choice at is we get the choice to change and improve and grow, because that we can choose. That we can purposely do, and we can improve. Now, if you're not growing, then you're dying. That's just the way it is. And I don't make up these rules. It just is. It is what it is. You're either improving yourself and on the way up, or you're on the way down and you're sliding down. And a lot of people, what happens is they get to this point in their life. They call it like their midway point, where they just, it's almost as if they give up. Right? If you give up on improving, it's going to be a natural decline, and it may not be fast, but it's going to be a decline consistently. Whereas if you're purposely doing things that are going to make you better, then you will consistently improve and get better and grow. And it doesn't matter how old you are. This 74-year-old grandma here, she decided that she wanted to improve. She wanted to get into a bathing suit because she swims, 3-4 days a week, and she wanted to feel better about herself. So she did, and she went out and she did what was necessary for her to feel better for herself. Now, clearly, this is not perfect. You want to compare this to a 20-year-old, it's not the same. It's not the same. But she feels better. And that's really all that matters. It doesn't really matter what you think, what I think, whether we think it looks good or doesn't look good. It really doesn't matter. It's what she thinks. It's how she feels. And same thing with you. It doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. It's about how you feel about yourself. And if you can get into those clothes and feel comfortable and confident, then who cares what anyone else thinks? Okay, how much can you take out at one time, says Virgo Bowen on YouTube. So we get out a lot of fat. It's different for each one of these, and there's no set specific amount. I try to plan the procedures in such a way that we're not pushing the limits so far that we are going to cause more complications for you. And what I did find is back in the days when we would push the limits, the further we push the limits, the increase in side effects would occur. So I created a safety protocol to have a cutoff point and to reduce the risk exposure for you. And when we do that, it makes it substantially safer. We tend to get better results. As you can see, on a larger individual, we opt not to do the full 360 all the way around the waistline. Instead, we focus on the front of the abdomen. But when we focus on the front of the abdomen, what I found was I got more aggressive. I got more fat out, and we tended to get better results. And when we got better results, it just made sense. It's safer, better results. It just makes sense. Now, some of you are like, well, I'm coming from, New York, or I'm coming from Canada, and I want to get my arms, my abdomen, my legs, my chin, my back, my butt, my boobs, I want to get everything done all at once. And it's like, that might be okay when you go to Colombia, because they don't care whether you live or die. If you don't come back, nobody's going to write anything about it, and nobody will ever know. But we're different. We're regulated by, we're in the United States. And so we have different regulations and expectations. And so safety protocol is number one thing. Nobody's dying. Nobody's having major complications after these procedures. Everybody does well. And clearly you can see we get the results. So not only is it safe, it's affordable, and people do well, but we get the results. And if you want results, you come to where they happen. So that's why about 85-90% of our patients are flying in from out of state. And we make it really easy. You can get quick pricing. We have our quick quote system. You can find that on our link tree, or some of the profiles on our website. And you can find the quick quote. The quick quote gets you easy pricing instantly. You don't have to send pictures. It's based off of your BMI. And then once you have pricing, you're serious, you're ready to move forward, the next step is a formal consultation. The formal consultation, we charge for that, but that's where you're gonna send in your pictures, you're gonna get my opinion directly on what your needs and desires will be and how to make that happen for you. And we confirm pricing, and then after that's happened and you get your pricing and you're ready to move forward, the next step is placing your deposit. 25% of the procedure cost. Get you to pick your date and time on the schedule, so now you have your scheduled time, and then you can create your travel arrangements around that. What's up, Michelle? I appreciate you jumping on here today. All right. Okay, Okay, team, what does that say? Team no pants. All right, I've had back surgery before and they cut me from my belly button to my bikini line. I've had a lot of scar tissue from that. Can you get around that? In most cases, I can. I've been doing this for about 17 years. I've done thousands and thousands of these procedures, and you're not the only one that's had issues with that. So I can definitely get around a lot of things, but obviously I don't know what your specific situation is. So if check out our pricing, and assuming you're happy with that, the next step is getting the formal consultation. That's when I can review pictures of you specifically to figure out what's going to be the best game plan for you. Virgo Brown says, how long is the downtime? Our statistics show that patients were able to report getting back to sedentary type job within 3 to 5 days following the procedure. How can I find out the pricing for male lipo procedures? Jay, it's just you're gonna go to our link tree. I actually right at the bottom here on Instagram, I pinned the link tree, and then on that you're gonna find our quick quote, and the quick quote will take you through the pricing where you're gonna calculate your BMI, and then once you calculate your BMI, you pick the category that you fall under, and then there's different recommendations and pricing there. Now, once you get the basic pricing, it's basic. Now, not everybody falls into this perfectly, so go through the quick quote with a grain of salt, but it is very accurate. And when we do the formal consultation, I'm going to go through that myself to figure out the pricing. So it's very, very accurate. Okay, can you get more than one liposuction after you heal? Can you get it done again? Paula Ramirez, absolutely, that's possible. If you're talking about getting it on the same area, I typically don't like to do that on my patients because I want to do it right the first time, so you should never have to do it again. That's my intentions. However, unfortunately, other doctors don't think that same way. And I get a lot of patients that come to me and they simply didn't get enough fat out. They didn't get the results they were looking for, and they needed to be fixed. So that's considered a revision liposuction. I do tons of those. There's lots of patients that didn't get the results they're looking for, and they need help. So absolutely, I can help with that. Typically, the recommendation is to wait 6 months from treating the same area. However, if you're looking to treat other areas, so lots of patients, for example, this one here, we treated the front of the abdomen. She just needs to wait a month, and then she can come back and finish out the waistline, or maybe she wants to do her thighs, or maybe she wants to do her arms. That's just 30 days to treat a different area. Okay, how long is the recovery from an arm reduction? So the recovery it's the same process. Your body's natural reaction is going to be swell up, so you get bigger, and then the compression garments, you want to try and reduce the swelling to reduce the size. Then you're gonna get some scar tissue formed. You get this hard, lumpy tissue for a few weeks to months after the procedure. It's just everyone's different on how quickly this process goes. And some people it happens a lot faster, and other people a lot slower. So there's no way for us to tell specifically for you what it's going to be. But just be aware and open to the potential. But most people do quite well. But here's the cool thing is you can actually go communicate with our previous patients on our private Facebook group, and you can ask them specifically what happened with them. Okay, how far booked out are you? All we do is liposuction. So it's not like I'm contending with other procedures. I'm not seeing patients in the office. All we do is liposuction, so we have plenty of time to do it. We usually don't book out for more than a month. And if we're booked out that far or further, then we just open up more days, because again, that's all we do is liposuction. And I know nobody likes to wait. Once you finally make a decision to change your life, you want it like now. Okay, Team No Pants says, if you have a scar tissue in your abdomen, is it hard to get around that? It can be. Like I said, all the scar tissue is different, so it's not like one scar tissue is the same as all scar tissue. It's not. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult, and I just do the best that I can. I have lots of tricks. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've had lots of different situations to practice on. So I can definitely help with the scar tissue, and we'll just break it up. See, what happens is that sometimes the scar tissue, you'll work on either side of the scar. Sometimes I can go right underneath the scar and break up the connective tissue that causes that puckering, that indentation. But every situation is different. So I observe the situation and figure out what's the best way to do it at the time. I have to do it at the time, because it's a feel, and by visually looking at it, there's no way I can predict exactly what's going to happen. So Um, Part of this, when you go into this situation, you need to realize that there is some risks involved, and that we don't know all the answers before we start the procedure. So how restrictive the scar tissue is going to be somewhat unknown before the procedure. However, on examination, I can give you kind of a good idea. There's certain indicators that might, indicate certain things. For example, when you pinch the skin, as the skin's looser and you can pull it up, there's less adhesions, but you can usually feel the adhesions. But like I said, in most cases, I'm able to break the scar tissue up and it comes out pretty nice. Okay, Sparkly Hot Pink says, I have a latex allergy. Are the tools and materials you use latex free? Yeah, in fact, all the gloves that I use in our office are latex free. They're nitrile something. I don't know. It's not latex. However, the compression garments themselves, I think they have some type of, most things that are stretchy have some type of latex in it. So I'm not sure what your allergy is of sorts, but the way some of the people get around this is they put some type of like a layer, like a camisole shirt or something like that. So you have something that you're not allergic to as a layer, and then put the garments on top of that. So in many cases that's beneficial. But again, during the procedure, we're not using latex. So we'll work with you and we'll try to figure this out. That's not something that's unheard of. So we can definitely help you out. What's up, glorious woman from South Carolina? Welcome back. I know you've jumped on here before. I recognize you. But the cool thing about these procedures is these can really give you dramatic changes. And so, someone like this who has it, it's like, you can imagine she's been asked before if she's pregnant. She's in her 40s, and she's probably past the prime of when she would be having babies, but yet still people would question this, which is got to be frustrating as hell. And it's not something that you have to deal with, because it's something that can be changed. But it's a choice, right? At some point you just get tired, you get sick and tired, like, I'm not pregnant. And once you get so sick of hearing these things, when you get so sick and tired of feeling the way that you feel when people look at you a certain way, or when you're not able to fit clothes a certain way, at some point you're so sick and tired of that stuff that you make a decision. You're like, enough is enough, hard land in the sand, and I'm done with this shit. I'm never going back. And once you decide you're never going back, then you start moving forward. And moving forward might be, changing your lifestyle habits first, which is free. Just change your lifestyle habits. Drink more water and get more active. Eat healthier foods. Cut out, sugar and carbohydrates. Cut out processed foods. You got to start. Once you start doing the right things, your life will start to change. But you have to start heading in the right direction because you made a decision, a conscious decision. And when you make a decision to be healthier, it starts affecting all the little decisions. Because now when you make a little decision, like whether to have this piece of candy, or whether to eat this dessert, or to whether to have this soda, it's like when you start making these decisions, it all reverts back to the one decision. It's the one time when you say, you know what, I've had enough of this crap, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to be healthy. That's it. And once you decide that, it's not like the stuff happens overnight, but the change starts to happen immediately. You start to make different decisions, and as you make different decisions, those compile on top of each other, and you get the compound effect. And so each decision that you make will stack on top of another, and then you'll see the big dramatic changes down the road. Okay. At first, it's a slow change. Just like when you work out, you go to the gym, you work out. One day you work out real hard, you're not going to see the change. You're not going to see the change. It is what it is. But you keep doing it for weeks, months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. All of a sudden, it's like magic. The stuff, it just magically seems to happen. However, it's not magic. It just happens slowly over time. So your mind has to realize that things take time, and be patient. But you have to stay on the path. You have to stay on the path for improvement, or else you're on the path for destruction. Sparkly Hot Pink says, interested in fat transfer to the breast. Can you talk about that? How long is that procedure in total? Is there anything that would not make you a good candidate for fat transfer to the breast? So, okay, fat transfer to the breast, first of all, is a great procedure. My wife has had that procedure, and it's good. I like it. it's essentially when you take fat from one area, so that might be the abdomen, that might be the waist, that might be the thighs, whatever the case, and we take that and we fill in the breast. People that are the best candidate that I found, they have good shaped breasts before, but they were deflated. So, like, let's say, for example, you had kids and your breasts got bigger and then they deflate. And then you had another kid that got bigger, and then they deflate. And then they got bigger and then deflate. And so you do that enough times, and next thing you know, you have saggier skin, a little bit of stretch marks, the fat volume seems to be depleted. Particularly towards the upper portion of the chest here, where girls seem to get it. And so when that happens, you get a flattening, and then like a swoop, like a little like a ramp, right? And then so it comes out like this, and you got a little bit more fullness down towards the bottom. That's why you get that swooping. But when we do fat transfer, we're able to fill in the volume up top and along the cleavage here. So then when you put your bra on, you can work that magic to create those shapes and things that the girls are so good at. So fat transfer is a great procedure. How long does it take? The actual procedure itself, the fat transferring back in, is very quickly. I'd say 20 minutes. But getting the fat out, the liposuction part, that's the process, and it depends how much we're doing. Okay. What would make you not a good candidate for fat transfer? Well, if you had really tiny breasts that were misshapen before, they still like tubular breasts, or a major asymmetry, or you had really small breasts that just don't really have any space to fill. So see, fat transfer is a transfer in the increase in volume, but if you're not able to, if your skin won't stretch out because the breasts were never big, then it's going to be difficult to put the fat in there and get them to stretch out because the skin is so tight. Okay, can you do 360 lipo and fat transfer to the breast at the same time? Absolutely, that's possible. In fact, that's a great idea. The cool thing when you do the fat transfer to the breasts, when you treat the abdomen, is kind of like, a lot of times if your belly is sticking out further than your breast, when we take the belly away, all of a sudden the breast will stick out further than the belly, which is going to make the breast look larger. Then when you add additional volume from the fat transfer, that bigger contrast, where the breasts are sticking out even further, you have more volume. So it's like it puts the attention on the assets. So breast being the assets and the abdomen's not. You want to get that flattened out of the way so people aren't focusing on it, and then they'll focus on the breast. Now that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? It's a loaded gun. Just realize, guys, they stare at boobs and butt. So realize what you're doing. Don't be surprised when guys are staring at your boobs. It is what it is. You're asking for it. So it's the attention you're gonna get. No problem, Sparkly. Right. I think the coolest thing that I do is when I'm able to help these larger individuals who have these challenging situations with loose skin, the stretch marks, these hanging bellies, and to them, at some point, I know that they start to feel like there's no hope. Like they've tried diet, they tried exercise, they tried other things, but there's no hope. And when I'm able to help them feel better about themselves, just simply look, she's not going to get into a bikini. She never even cared to get into a bikini. However, she wants to look good in her clothes, so she can do that now. Even though she still has a stretch mark, she had really bad stretch marks, really bad loose skin. Went all the way up to the breast, all the way down to the pubic area. They were all over the place. You might have the same problem. So realistically, even if you get a tummy tuck, you're not cutting away all that stuff. All you're doing is getting a big scar and cutting away some of the skin and stretch marks. With the liposuction, you can see we can get her a fairly flat belly. We can make that fold go away. Functionality-wise, she's a rock star. Everything's a lot easier for her now when she doesn't have that hanging belly. Leaning forward, cleaning, whatever stuff you have to do down below, it's all easier. Now, at some point you ask yourself, like, why didn't you do this a long time ago? And that's what a lot of these patients ask. They're like, why did I wait so long? And that's the question you should start asking yourself now, is like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? If you hate this situation where you have this big belly, this big waist, this spare tire, whatever you want to call it, you hate that, then stop living that way. Make a decision and change. And these decisions aren't easy, but you make a decision and you go forward. And then you figure out how to make it happen. You're like, well, I don't have the money. Okay, make a decision though. I want this. I want to do this, and then start putting money away. Right? Start saving for it, and you'll get what you want. It may not be in the time frame that you want, but you'll get what you want eventually. Okay, you need to start moving towards the results, towards the path. Okay, it's not good enough to see the path and say, hey, that's what I need to be doing. It's not good enough to just do that. You have to actually move towards it. And maybe, again, maybe you can't just jump in and do everything all at once, but you get started. Some of you that say, I don't have money. Okay, we'll start figuring that out. Start saving. I'm sure you can save some money here and there. Whether it's you're spending money on eating out, or you're spending money on Starbucks coffees, or you're spending money on, whatever you're spending money on. You figure it out. I don't know what your situation is. You got to figure it out. But I'm sure, I promise you, everybody has this where they're spending money on things that they don't need to spend money on. Like maybe you pay for every streaming service possible, and the reality is you're only watching YouTube, or you're never watching any of this stuff. Maybe you just cancel your subscriptions. There's lots of ways to save money, but you just got to start figuring it out. You got to get creative. Instead of saying, I just don't have, that's the victim mentality. It's the life of abundance is that can be mine. I just need to figure out how. What's up, punk ass 909? Okay, don't wait. I was scared and was putting it off. Now I wish I would have done it sooner. That's what everyone says. I'm telling you, that's what I hear that so often. Okay, Miss Clarera says, my quick quote said 2 visits. Do you reassess that during the consult? Yeah, I'll look at it during the, when we do the formal consultation, I'll take a look at it. And in some cases, we'll make exceptions, but the recommendations are for your safety. So the reason why I said 2 visits is by our safety protocol. Statistically speaking, what I did is I went back and I reviewed our previous patients for years. And I reviewed to see what their BMI was, what we treated, and then how they did after the procedure. And what I found was larger individuals, we had a higher incidence of issues. And by issues, I mean you had more lightheadedness, more dizziness, more possible fainting, nausea, vomiting. These are things that happen. It's traumatic to your body. What we're doing is traumatic to your body. We're removing a lot of fat. Now, granted, it seems like it's easy because we're doing this while you're awake, and it's amazing that it's even possible. However, it is still traumatic to your body, so we need to, do the things that are necessary to keep you safe. So that's why I created the safety protocol. And if, say, for example, you're like 32, 33, you're right on the cusp, right? What I do is I visually inspect. I'll look at the pictures once you send them in for the photo consult. I review them, and then based off of what I see, I can tell where you're carrying the volume. And sometimes people carry more volume on their thighs and less on their abdomen. So that means a person with a higher BMI might still be okay and safe to get to 360 lipo. On the flip side, there might be somebody with a BMI of 30 or 31 that carries everything around the midsection, has like rail-like legs and skinny arms, but everything around the midsection. That person, it might be safer to break it up into 2 procedures. Look, a lot of this is going to depend on your comfort level. And I'm just here to guide you. And so I make the recommendations, and I'm super flexible. I'm not here to say no. I'm here to say yes. That's what I want to do. I want to say yes to, but we just need to figure out how to say yes. We need to figure out how to make it happen. I live in a world of yes. So we'll figure it out. Yeah, punk ass. Don't wait. It's just about starting to live the life that you want to live. And the longer you put that off, the less likely it's going to happen. It's going to be to happen. So whatever it is that you choose that you want to start moving towards, you need to start just moving towards it. So if you make a decision today that you want to do something, that you want to change your life, you want to transform your life, then you got to start moving towards that. And that might be changing your habits. That might be drinking more water. That might be eating more food. That might be reading books. That might be, whatever it is that you can improve yourself. Start doing that. And as you do that, you're going to figure out what the next thing is. And you're going to become more conscious of the things that you're doing that are actually at your detriment, that are causing problems to you. And when you figure those out, you stop doing those. You stop the negative, add on the positive. Stop the negative, add on the positive. It's just a constant change. Okay, Michelle says, I need to do that. Hey, what's up, Nisi? I was just looking at a picture of you, Nisi. I hope everything's going well. It's been a little bit. Sparkly says, I love how motivating you are. Well, this is me like on every day. I have to, because here's the thing is I motivate myself, right? You got to keep going. You know, I'm motivating you because I got an abundance of it. But at some point, you got to start motivating yourself. So these words that I'm using, you got to start telling yourself. You know, I had these patients that came in the other day, and they were saying they listen to these videos and they put them on, you know, on speakers so they can just listen to them while they're working, or listen to them while they're working out or walking or whatever the case, and they just listen to the words that I'm saying. So when you start hearing, there's a repetition because I say the same words or specific words that I use on purpose, and it's trying to program your mind and get you to start thinking a certain way. Because if I can change the way that you think, then it'll start changing your actions. And so I'm trying to program your mind through the repetitive words that I use to get you to do these simple things. And there's simple, basic habits like drinking more water. And you're going to hear me say it 1,000 times. You're like, okay, I heard you. But you know what? If you're not implementing, then you didn't actually hear it. You don't understand what I'm talking about unless you implement it in. So you don't really know how much water you need until you drank so much water. You're like, that's too much. When you feel that's too much, then you can start backing off, right? But it's your body, and I can give you recommendations and say, you know, you should be drinking half your body weight in ounces. That's a baseline foundation. That's just an idea, but you got to figure it out for yourself. And how do you do that? You test. Just like anything else, you're gonna test this stuff. So you drink, you know, drink half your weight in ounces. See how you feel. Do that for a week. Track it. That's the important thing. You got to track these things. If you don't track them, it means you're not really doing it. You know, because you don't know what you did if you didn't track it. Okay, how far apart are the two procedures generally? We recommend a minimum of a month. And in that month, that allows for the fluids to get out of your system. It allows for you to heal, bruising to clear up, swelling to diminish. What's up, Nisi? I'm so appreciative of you. Nisi was a previous patient of ours a few years back, and she you know, she stuck around. She kept sharing her story with people. And she came out for, we had some party one time. Nisi came out and joined us. She's a singer. She's an amazing singer, like blows you away singer. I think we had some video of her, didn't we?
Yes, we have videos on our YouTube and TikTok.
Yep.
I mean, Instagram.
Nisi's a rock star. Well, hey, I appreciate each one of you for jumping on here today. If you have more questions and you're watching this on the replay, leave the questions down below, and I'll work to get them answered for you. If you're ready to move forward, the next step is getting your quick quote so you can get the pricing. And then once you have the pricing and you're like, this is awesome, because it is, the next step is getting your formal consultation. The formal consultation, both of these links can be found on our link tree as well as our website, profile. I mean, it's all over the place. So we try to make this as easy as possible for you. If you have questions, you need assistance, call our office. Se habla español. Yo hablo español un poquito. But thank you so much for watching, and get your formal consultation so we can talk. Send your pictures in if you have specific questions about your situation. And let's make this right for you and get you started on your life transformation. See you next time.